It's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. And Phil Parkinson might, I say might, be in very deep water. Oh hi guys, welcome back to another episode of WrexhamMania by Welsh Beast. Now, I just want to apologise for last week's episode. I was way off my game. Lots of mistakes in last week's episode, but I was ill. I was very, very ill. If you look, go and take a look if you haven't seen it. I was having an allergic reaction. My face was red and blotchy. I thought my time was up. But the show must always go on. Yes, the show will go on unless you're 2-0 up and then it will be called off due to a waterlogged pitch. But we'll talk about that later. Let's have a look at the National League table. Now I'm recording this on a Sunday. It's a bit late. But yesterday Wrexham didn't play because it was their free weekend due to there being 23 teams in the league. It's an odd number, so every week somebody misses out. It was Wrexham's turn this week. Sod's law after last week's cancellation or abandonment. Lots of big games happening yesterday. Some big results, some big news. Grimsby Town atop on 26 points. Boreham Wood, who had a great win against Dagenham. Boreham Wood v Dagenham was the biggest game of the weekend, I think. And Dagenham lost to Boreham Wood. They've now lost 4 out of 5. Dagenham looking so strong, so impressive. The wheels are coming off a bit. Still a good team, still dangerous. But, you know, they need to stop the rot. You know, they're having a very bad run, to be honest. But Dagenham are 6th on 19 points. Bromley are up there. Halifax Town are 3rd on 23 points. Wrexham are 12th. Where they were after the previous 2 games, where they started the weekend. Wrexham have played 9 games. They're on 13 points. You know, they've dropped half their points. More than half their points, to be fair. You know, Bromley are 5th. They've played 9 games. They're on 19. Altrincham are 8th. They've played 9 games. They're on 18 points. So there are teams there with the same number of games as Wrexham doing much better. And, you know, quite a distance away. Going to take some catching up. You know, it's not what we were expecting, let's be fair. Grimsby Town top, Boreham Wood 2nd, Halifax 3rd, Chesterfield 4th on 22. There's 4 teams there in the 20s. We thought Wrexham would be one of them. Wrexham was supposed to walk this league. That was a bit too far. That was a bit unrealistic. But we expected them to be in the top 3 or 4, not 12, having dropped 14 points out of 27. You know, the expectations are high. They have been for years to get out this damn league. Even more so now with the new owners, the exposure, the interest, the investment, great crowds, great players. It's going to take time to gel, but, you know, will Phil Parkinson get time? Talk is coming about sackings. Liam Roberts, you know, fantastic YouTuber, has a great channel, very popular. He's mentioned sackings. You know, the sacking of Phil Parkinson. I was at Aldershot last week, and whilst we were waiting forever to get in the ground, you're talking to some fans about sackings, saying if he loses to Aldershot, then it's big trouble for Phil Parkinson. Phil Parkinson needs time. He shouldn't be sacked, but will he get time? I think 2 more defeats before Christmas and Phil Parkinson is gone. The owners weren't expecting this, the fans weren't expecting this. We wanted better, we expected better. Wrexham favourites to win the league, to walk it in some people's eyes. The owners are not going to stand for this. Let's be fair. They need time. Sacking Phil Parkinson would be ridiculous, but it will happen if it carries on like this. You know, obviously they've got games in hand. We'll talk about that in a bit. The Aldershot match. But other teams with the same number of games, as we can see in the league, are doing better. Wrexham are playing catch up. They've got to win 5 in a row to get back up there. And it's not looking like it's going to happen soon. More defeats and he's gone. It's the nature of football. Phil Brown has gone from Southend. We expected Southend to do better. You know, you expect a team who's been relegated to be stronger. Like Grimsby. But Grimsby have experience of the National League. And non-league football. Southend don't. Phil Brown doesn't, I don't believe. He doesn't have much experience. He said it might take him 20 games to understand the National League. And there were protests yesterday. Southend lost to Chesterfield 4-0. And there were protests during the game. The game was suspended briefly because of crowd trouble, crowd protests. They're angry at the owner, Ron Martin, I believe his name is. But he's put a lot of money in that club over the years. But again, it's what counts now. It's results today. You know, it's what can you do tomorrow, not what you did yesterday. We want it now. How's the future looking? Not the past, it's now. And how is it going to look tomorrow? You know, you change today to make tomorrow better. And that's what will happen with Wrexham, because there's a lot of management staff at the club, experienced people, you know, esteemed, prestigious, respected people. Fleur Robinson, Steve Harvey, Les Reed. There's going to be fallings out soon. There'll be a backlash. There'll be blame games. You know, Wrexham are mid-table after 9 games. You know, they're 6 points from the playoffs. Very early days. It's tight up there. There's a lot of teams up there. There's, you know, to get up there, like I said, a run of 5 wins. Draws are not good enough anymore now. And like I said, there's going to be a backlash. We saw boos at half-time against Chesterfield. I was going to wait till the match reaction, till I give the match reaction, but I'll say it now, there were boos at half-time when Wrexham were losing to Chesterfield on Tuesday. You know, there's pressure, there's anticipation, there's expectation. But silly talk about sackings of Phil Parkinson. Maybe I'm to blame as well for stoking the flames, but there is talk of Phil Parkinson getting sacked. He needs time. You know, the team needs time. Fantastic players. The team needs time to gel. You know, time to see how it goes. No knee-jerk reactions, but there will be knee-jerk reactions. If results don't improve, if Wrexham don't climb the table, I'm afraid to say, my feeling is Phil Parkinson will be sacked. And 2 more defeats by Christmas, and I think he will be gone. But that would be stupid. Phil Parkinson needs time. Wrexham play in the Cup next weekend, and then it's Barnet away, which they should win. Phil Parkinson needs time. Now, as we all know, Wrexham's match against Aldershot was abandoned because of a waterlogged pitch. I went there. What a day. What an adventure. Wow. A great performance by Wrexham. They totally dominated the match. I think Aldershot had one good chance in the first half, probably the first real chance of the game. But other than that, Wrexham well in control. And, you know, sod's law, they needed a win. They were playing fantastic stuff. They could have been 3-0 up at half time at least. It was 2-0. A brilliant goal from Jake Hyde after great football by Wrexham, and a brilliant header down from Jordan Davis to set up Hyde for a great finish. Mullin scored a penalty to make it 2-0. Bryce Hosanna, who I thought was fantastic, had a chance. Hayden was in there from a corner. He almost scored. Brilliant display by Wrexham. Great organisation, great efforts, great ambition, great movement. They really, you know, after, you know, and I got it wrong. I thought Wrexham beat Aldershot last year. They never. They got a spanking, 3-0. And I did a reaction video to that. And I forgot all about it. Wrexham have an awful record down Aldershot. It was different today in terms of the football. Well in control. Deserved to be 2-0 up at half time. Sod's law, bad luck, bit them on the backside. But you could see that. On the coach down there, heavy rain. And I thought, hang on, this might get called off here. This rain is bad. Not the best ground. Aldershot, you know, a big club, it's a small stadium, you know, no disrespect. I know the ground staff got stick, but I suppose, you know, like I said, you know, Rob McElhenney, after giving them stick on Twitter, apologised. They're volunteers, you know, tough conditions. It's tough at that level. You're relying on volunteers, unpaid workers who are passionate about the club, who want the club to, you know, to survive and continue and have a love for the club. But the conditions were awful, you know. Raining before the game. I put a video on Twitter before kickoff. Heavy rain, got lots of views, lots of reaction. I felt something was going to happen. You could see the pitch in the first half. In one corner, the ball was sticking. You could see water spraying up and the ball sticking in the grass and in the water. And the ref gave it 5 minutes. Well, in the 52nd minute, he blew. And we thought that was it. He called the game off early in the second half. We thought that was it. We were all leaving. We were all leaving. And the announcer called us back and said, no, he's going to give it 5 minutes. Which was ridiculous. Because it was only going to get, what is 5 minutes going to do? It's been raining all day. 5 minutes is only going to get worse. But the Wrexham players chipped in, trying to clear the water. Hayden, in particular, had to squeegee out, was getting stuck in. Paul Mullin got the bath towels out. And I think that was a bit of banter, he said, to try and soak up the water. That's what I do when I flood the bathroom after a shower. But disappointing way to end. You know, nearly as disappointing as the burger that I had before the match. A very dodgy burger. You know, but, you know, what can you do? You've got to eat it. You've got to crack on. You know, the home team probably got their burgers from Waitrose. We get ours from Sweeney Todd. But, hey, they're doing their best. Small club, doing their best. Wrexham, very, very hard done by. Great performance. Hosanna debut, which I was very impressive, but the injuries. Luke Young went off injured, and Ben Tozer replaced him as captain. In my opinion, he should be the team captain. None of this nonsense about 2 captains. What's that about? It never works. Get rid of it. Ben Tozer should be the captain, but then he went off injured. Thankfully, as we know now, it wasn't serious, but Luke Young is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, I believe. That's a bit more serious, but Ben Tozer back for the Chesterfield match. That was great to see. Played an important role, but you know, a great performance by Wrexham. Disappointing injury to Luke Young. Gutted that it was called off. But what an adventure. What a day. You know, great day out. Some great memories, some great fun. And hopefully I get back down there because it will be unfinished business. Aldershot v Wrexham, match abandoned with Wrexham winning 2-0. Yes, and after the adventures down in Aldershot, we were back at the racecourse Tuesday night for a big game against Chesterfield. Always big games against Chesterfield. My first Wrexham match was against Chesterfield, 28th of December 1992. I just found that out. I always thought it was Boxing Day. Obviously it was around Christmas. In my head, I always thought it was Boxing Day. But it was the 28th of December 1992. So we've got a great history against Chesterfield, as we know. And Chesterfield are doing well. They're a good team. Big crowd at the racecourse. Record crowd. Their biggest ever National League crowd. Their biggest midweek crowd for a league game since 1979. What, 9,147? Something like that. About 500 Chesterfield fans. You know, fantastic support there for them. You could see it. Their part of the ground was packed. So about 8,600 Wrexham fans. Brilliant. Brilliant. And what was a very awful night again for football. Very windy. Raining as well, but very windy. I was back in the stadium. I had some chips. And my tray started blowing around. When I finished, it blew around. And I had to go chasing after it like a fool. I looked the right tits, I suppose. But the way that goes to show how windy it was. That was inside the ground. Yes, I was close to the entrance, but I was inside the stadium having some food, and I'm chasing trays around. Polystyrene trays, or wherever they are. Windy night. Rainy, cold as well. Not the great conditions for football, but we're used to it, you know. As we say, when a good foreign player comes over, if you can't do it on a windy Tuesday night, you can't do it at all. You know, you're not worth the money paid for you. A windy Tuesday night in Wrexham, and the game didn't live up to the hype. Wrexham were very poor. Very poor. And I think Chesterfield did what they needed to do, what we allowed them to do. They weren't prepared to do any more than they had to do. But Wrexham, the first couple of minutes were on fire. I think it was Hosanna had a shot, had a chance, won a corner. Jordan Davis put the corner in and it curled against the bar. We thought, right, this is really, really impressive stuff. Good start, getting at them, very ambitious. But that was it for basically 80 minutes. Wrexham offered nothing. And they conceded after about 5 minutes, which could have been defended better. There was no response to that goal. And you could feel the tension in the stadium, I felt. A packed stadium with expectation. With concern about the league table. With concern about the current form. Unhappy and concerned that Wrexham are losing again. And not playing very well. And the players must feel that. You know, there were moments, and there were lots of moments where the crowd tries to lift Wrexham, trying to get behind them, but it's hard when you're feeling stung, you know, and you can feel the tension. But Leighton made a brilliant save to deny Chesterfield. Then he made another save from the penalty spot, having brought down Tishamanga. Tishamanga missed the penalty, which I suppose was his own fault. I don't think, you know, he struck it well enough, or he tried to be too clever. He did the pause, if I remember, rather than just, you know, smashing it, picking his side and just going for it. But a great save by Leighton, well read. But I must say, Tishamanga has the most fantastic buttocks in European football. His ass is brilliant. His glutes are fantastic. Every man in the world wants glutes like Tishamanga. Beautiful. It's like he's got 2 cannonballs down the back of his shorts. Beautiful. But he asked around on the penalty, I think, and a great save by Leighton. So Wrexham going to half-time 2-0 down, there were boos. I'm sorry to say it. Whoever was there, it's reported on social media, there were boos. The fans are unhappy with dropping more points, or potentially dropping more points. You know, it's because they boo because they care. They're frustrated because they care. And it wasn't a great performance. And, you know, at that stage, they were being well dominated in terms of chances. And they weren't creating anything. There was no service to Hyde or Mullin. You know, it was hard work. But they made it easy for Chesterfield, and Chesterfield were just solid in great positions, kept focused, kept organised, and it was an easy night's work. And it didn't improve much in the second half, to be honest. Not until the last 10 minutes, where Wrexham really started to create some chances, and Paul Mullin gets the equaliser. Paul Mullin, again, we're over-reliant on him. Jake Hyde's chipping in, but we need more goals from other players. We can't keep relying on Mullin. It was a long ball in, a throw-in from Tozer. That weapon that he has, paying off. We keep trying it. We keep trying it. I think that's the first time we've pulled it off. It's not a secret. Everybody knows about it, but it's so effective, it's so impressive. It's difficult to defend against, even though you know it's coming. But a beautiful header by Mullin, he rose, boom, lovely, lovely finish by Mullin. Hayden at the bar in the dying minutes. And Wrexham could have snatched all the points. It would have been very, very undeserved. The performance wasn't good enough. In front of a packed stadium, wind or no wind, it should have been better. This team is capable of more. We've got to see more going forward. As I said, we're on a break now. The racecourse has been returfed, which again, we can't have a go at Aldershot when we've got problems with our pitch. 3 games in, and they have to returf it because it wasn't seeded properly. God, I mean, I wouldn't trust them to run an allotment, to be honest with you. Come on. 3 games in, and it's been reseeded and returfed. You know, are we trying to find excuses now? Are we trying to solve problems? Are we worried about our performances and so the pitch is to blame? The pitch is to blame, and we're not playing good enough football, we're not effective enough because of the pitch. You know, is concern now arising? Are people starting to worry about certain factors and are finding reasons for those concerns? But the pitch is being returfed. Hopefully it holds up. We can't have this all season, because I don't think it's going to keep returfing it. It's not going to settle. It's not going to, you know, be strong enough. It's going to get him cut up, and it's going to be difficult to play on. So it's being returfed. Hopefully the job is done properly and it's suitable for the rest of the season. But Wrexham playing the cup, the next game, you know, against Marine FC. I'd never heard of them before. Apparently Wrexham have played them in 1946. Apparently they played Tottenham last season. I didn't pay attention to that. Too much going on. But they're a local team. Relatively speaking, they're from Merseyside, so in the northwest. Very, very close by. Only 350 tickets. So there's restrictions on who can buy and how you can buy and how many you can buy. But I'm sure the tickets will go. I'll try and get one. We'll see what happens. But Wrexham have a couple of weeks off from the league. And then it's down to Barnet, where they've got to win. They should win. But very disappointing performance against Chesterfield. But they fight for a point, a valuable point. It could have been a lot worse. They need to improve. Wrexham won, Chesterfield won. Now for this week's Wrexham question, I'm going to get straight to the point. Are you happy with the job that Phil Parkinson is doing? Yes or no will do. Tweet me, tweet us, comment on YouTube, wherever you see this question asked, comment. Yes or no will do now. I don't want a slanging match, I don't want abuse. I'm not going to expand on the question. Straight question. Are you happy with the job Phil Parkinson is doing? That's this week's Wrexham question. Now this week's Humphrey Ker column, he talks a lot about the previous two games. Doesn't go, you know, too much detail in the problems at Aldershot. He glosses over them, doesn't want to get involved. And then the argy-bargy, it's all been done. But, you know, he talks about the crowd at the Chesterfield game. Big crowd, impressive support. But I think he's a bit unrealistic in this column. I think he's detached from reality, to be fair. He's not being honest. And you have to be honest. You have to confront the truth and improve it. He talks about the crowd, you know, always getting behind the team against Chesterfield. And I don't think that happened. As I said, there were boos at half time. I'll just read some quotes from the column. Every throw-in, every tackle, every header won was cheered and applauded. I mean, not all of them. That's an exaggeration. That's been too kind. You know, he's been too positive and he's been, you know, giving the crowd too much credit. I was part of that crowd. A huge crowd and huge expectation can sometimes be a weight around the neck of teams. But I didn't think there was a bit of that. Well, I think there was. I think a crowd of that size has an effect on players. Certainly the home team in all games. We had a season without crowds. Now, in terms of Wrexham, due to the investment and the exposure and the interest, the crowd has gone up. Wrexham have always done well with support, but it's doubled, at least, this season. Massive interest, massive fan base, massive support with expectations. There's a pressure on the club, there's pressure on these players. And again, when it's tense and frustrating, I think the players recognise that, they feel it. You know, we're all human. Football fans are human, football players are human. We all can't put on a brave face, we all can't put on a front and just get, you know, you have natural feelings and natural responses to losing games, to losing goals, and to being under pressure and to being frustrated and to being concerned. It's human nature, it can't be helped. There's no malice intended. When the crowd's frustrated at a result or a performance, there's no malice intended. It's a human nature. And I think there was some of that at Chesterfield. A big crowd of 9,000, over 8,000 Wrexham fans, concerned that the team is dropping more points, concerned that they're not going to get promotion. We've all been at games around the country where we've seen the home crowd get on their players' backs because the expectations aren't met. And how that can then become a millstone around the neck. Well, I think that happened. I do think that happened. As I said, multiple factors are the cause of that. And we have to be realistic. We love the club. We want the club to do well. We want the players to do well. We're pleased with these players. We respect the players. But a combination of factors can sometimes make us frustrated and annoyed and concerned. And that does have an effect on the players. We do our best to dig deep, to get behind the players. The players do their best to dig deep, to get the results we want. The management do their best to get the results that we want. We all want the same thing. We're all part of the same team. But again, you have to be realistic and acknowledge what happens. You can't dismiss it, because that way you don't improve it, you don't understand it, you don't do better that time. Fans can do better as well as players. Players can do better as well as fans. Managers and management staff and chairmen and owners can do better than managers. We can all improve. We can all improve to do our best to help the clubs we support and the players we support. But I think this column this week, some of the comments are not that realistic. And you've got to be realistic. But we will continue getting behind the team no matter what. We want this club to do well. We want the region to do well. We want promotion. But if not, we will still be there. That's this week's Humphrey Ker column. Now this week's big story, it's sad news. To be honest, disappointing news. To be honest, the famous Wrexham sign has gone. It's been taken down. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows where it's gone. But it's disappeared. It's disappeared faster than Dean Keats did when he went to Walsall. And it was placed just over there. Bersham Colliery is just over there, 200 yards away. That's where the sign was, in my local village. It's gone. People are disappointed. Apparently it popped up for sale on Facebook for £1,000. Was it genuine? Who knows? Surely it was genuine. But apparently there was weather damage. It was becoming a bit damaged and a bit in need of repair, I believe. But to go with no word of goodbye, no thank you, no ta-ra, nobody said anything. I've done my research before this video and I couldn't find anything. I haven't seen any quotes of explanations to where it's gone. Vanarama haven't said anything. The council haven't said anything. But we want it up. We want it up. It was fantastic. It brought exposure to the town, more exposure. It went global. It was a global news story. It was nice and uplifting. Nobody in the community complained. The council didn't complain. We loved it. It was a tourist attraction. It was beneficial to the area. But it's buggered off. Without a word. But a new one has popped up at the Graham pub on Holt Road. Not exactly the same in scale, but I think this one's made out of tin foil and paper mache. I think it was a school project by the local infant school. No, I'm only joking. I'm only being cheeky. Well, there's one in the Graham pub, a tiny replica, having a bit of fun, acknowledging what was once on Bircham Colliery. So we've got that as a replacement, but put the original back. There's petitions being started, I believe, to get it reinstated. Vanarama, as I said, I've said nothing. Nobody's explained where it's gone. Put it back. Put it back. It was great for the area. Put it back. We need it. Put it back. Cheers, guys. That's the latest episode of WrexhamMania. Thanks for watching. Remember, keep supporting. We're going to improve this soon. Some new stuff will be happening. Get supported. Tell people. Get spreading the word. Get behind it. We're going to be doing lots more stuff around Wrexham and around Welsh sport. Cheers, guys, and I will see you soon.